Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. Platinum giant Anglo Platinum is using the global economic meltdown period to up its operational game, but has to reconfigure its entire cost base. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer is with me in the studio to tell us more. Welcome to the show, Martin.
Thanks very much, Shannon.
Can you tell us a bit of background information on Anglo Platinum at the moment?
Yeah, there's a big turnaround taking place, and it's in motion as we speak, and it's needed to be big because Anglo Platinum was one of these big hitters. They would always declare very good dividends, they would always spend a lot on capital, and they were always looking to doing the big things. And it reached a point where the previous head of Anglo American, Tony Treyer, changed the leadership there, and Barry Davison, who had been in position for many years and actually several years ago was speaking about a production output of 3.5 million ounces. 3.5 million ounces, I mean, they've only just done 2.4 million ounces several years later. He was replaced, and Ryhove was sort of parachuted in to start the turnaround, several years ago. And there was a change of CEO at Anglo American, and Tony Treyer gave way to Cynthia Carroll, and there was a difference of approach between Ryhove and Cynthia Carroll on the safety issue. And during one presentation, journalists were shocked out of their wits when Ryhove announced his resignation at the presentation, so it was a massive shock. And then he was replaced after some time by Neville Nicolau, whom they got from Anglo Gold, and was looking for he was going to provide the operational backbone, and that's exactly what he's done. But in the process, I mean, he's really changed the whole demeanor of the place, and he is also determined that, in his words, it doesn't go back to being a fat cat.
How much is Anglo Platinum expecting to spend on capital expenditure this year?
Well, the good news is that they're still spending capital, but at a more moderate level. In 2009, they spent nearly 12 billion on capital, and that was even sort of more moderate than we were used to from Anglo Platinum. But they now have said clearly it'll be only 8 billion in 2010. Which shouldn't be sneezed at. It's also quite a nice figure. And also the exact same figure in 2011, 8 billion. So you can see that they're working on getting their production at a fixed level. That is 2.5 million ounces, which is far moderate from what we were expecting from Anglo Platinum even like 5 years ago. And then in 2011, standing still on that same 2.5 million ounces of platinum. But at the same time, the hard yards have got to be done because they want to hold costs at that 11,000 rand per ounce. And that actually takes them back to 2008. So it's getting harder and harder for them. Even though you think, well, they've succeeded now and they've turned the place around, it's going to be harder because they've got to keep their costs down at those levels going through to 2011. So there's still a lot of work to be done.
Now, Angloplat employs 59,000 people, but some more than 18,000 have left the company. What's the story there?
Staggering. It's actually close to 19,000 people that have been removed since October 2008. I mean, that's an enormous number, but there's still 59,000 people. And one thing that they make the point is that they didn't just pick on labor. They started at the head office, and if you go back to October 2008 or July 2008, I think they've removed more than 30% of head office staff, management staff, and the people who actually cost a lot of money. But at the same time, overall, they have cleared out, as you said, well over 18,000 people, and a lot of them have been contractors. Another astounding thing is that they didn't have any industrial action during this time, so they must have looked after those people and engaged in quite a lot of dialogue before they decided to take voluntary retrenchment. You see, there's no compulsory retrenchment there. It's all voluntary, so it must have been an enormous task.
And now can you tell us a bit more about Anglo's rights issue?
You see, when it comes to a rights issue, that means they're looking for cash. And, the rights mean that the shareholders follow their rights. So you've got a right as a shareholder. So Anglo American is the biggest shareholder, and it owns more than 79% of the company. And they have assured Anglo Platinum that they will follow their rights, as they say in the jargon that they use. They'll follow their rights. That means they will plow nearly 80% of 12.5 billion into the company, and then the remaining 20% odd shareholders, it seems, are also going to follow their rights. So there's a lot of confidence that everybody is going to want to buy these shares that are on offer. That means they offer new shares, they sell new shares, and they're going to sell them at a 25% discount. So people are quite confident at Anglo Platinum that rights issue will be fully taken up, which means they can decimate their net debt, because one of the reasons why they want this rights issue is because they've got a net debt position that is built up quite staggeringly to 19.5 billion rand, because although they normally finance everything by cash flow, there was no cash, so they had to go to the banks and borrow. So they're on a net debt position of 19.5 billion, but they're going to come in and smack that net debt right on the chin with 12.5 billion rands worth of cash, and bring their net debt down to a far more manageable level of about 6.8 billion. But staggeringly, they didn't actually have to do that, because this is such a high-profile company. And I just checked my recorder because I couldn't believe my ears. The CFO said he's got a facility from the banks. In other words, banks collectively are prepared to lend him 33 billion rand. So he didn't actually need to go to this rights issue, but they want to restructure that balance sheet, and so this is the big reason behind it. For the future, they want to look long term, so that they've got a very strong balance sheet, and that will also give them more confidence to spend more capital. So we're looking to it's like a big super tanker, trying to negotiate the Suez Canal, but they're coming through there, and all eyes are going to be on them to see what their operational results are going to be, because people always feel they're behind on the operations and that Impala Platinum is ahead. But it seems like a lot has been done to make sure those operations and the productivity improvement is coming through. We saw a productivity of 6.5 square meters per employee, and they want that to go to 7 square meters per employee in 2010, and then go to above 7 in 2011. So they mean business.
Thank you so much for your insight. It's definitely one to keep an eye out on.
Great, thanks Shannon.
That's the show for today. Join us again next time for more news and insight into what's happening in the mining world.